Linda's 50th birthday gift, a leather notebook, sat untouched for months, mocking her from nightstand. Toronto's autumn leaves swirled outside her window, mirroring chaos inside. Then, eavesdropping onto Silver-Haired Women Community Center, she caught a phrase that flipped her script: daughter's dorm room. More like my freedom suite. Their laughter buzzed with renewal, not regret. That night, Linda cracked open journal, fingers trembling. Online, she found a virtual circle of women scribbling their second acts, some Linda's 50th birthday gift, a leather notebook, sat untouched for weeks, its spine stiff as her resolve to avoid confronting quiet. Toronto's autumn leaves swirled outside her window, mocking her hesitation with their effortless release. She missed chaos of packed lunches and lost mittens, where her old kitchen table had once groaned under backpacks and half-finished science projects. Now its surface held only dust and a single chipped mug. One rainy Tuesday, she carried notebook to a community center yoga class, more for free tea than downward dog, and caught sight of a flyer: virtual journaling circle, stories without goodbyes. Something about wobbly Comic Sans font made her snort. Yet that night, fingers tracing notebook's embossed edges, a twin to one she doodled in as a teen, dreaming of adventures now folded into grocery lists, she logged on. Screen squares bloomed with faces of women who'd outlasted decades of heartbeats. A silver-haired stranger shared how she'd scribbled anger into a journal until it softened into gratitude. Another laughed about mistaking her cat's paw prints for profound symbolism. Linda's first entry was a mess of crossed-out words and a coffee stain, but act felt like prying open a window in a stuffy room. Her deepest fear, that she'd become irrelevant, like last year's calendar pinned too long on fridge, began to unravel. She wrote about her son's first steps, those hilarious, determined wobbles, her love for Kensington Market spice stalls, even her mortifying attempt TikTok dancing. Weeks in, she realized notebook wasn't a placeholder for what was gone, but a map to what remained. By winter, Linda's journal bulged with ticket stubs, pressed maple leaves, and a growing certainty: emptiness. Linda's 50th birthday gift, a leather notebook, sat untouched for weeks, its creamy pages as blank as her post-empty nest mood. She'd meant to jot down grocery lists, maybe scribble a thought or two, but facing it felt like staring into an abyss of quiet mornings and too much herbal tea. Then one rainy Tuesday, while hunting for her missing reading glasses, perched, as usual, atop her head, she knocked notebook off shelf. It flopped open, revealing a flyer for a virtual journaling circle local community center. Why not? She'd already mastered art of talking to her begonias. Signing in that first night, she half expected a snooze fest of grief sharing. Instead, she found a pixelated crew of women, some in fuzzy socks, others sipping wine, led by Marjorie, a 70-something dynamo with a silver pixie cut, and a habit of calling journaling brain yoga. Marjorie didn't do despair. She did prompts like describe your younger self in 3 spices. Linda chose cinnamon, cayenne, and a dash of undercooked thyme. Laughter crackled through screens and that leather notebook. Suddenly it wasn't a symbol of absence but a passport. She fumbled first. Her entries read like stiff thank you notes until Marjorie nudged her to write like no one's policing your vibes. So she did. She chronicled her neighbor's obsession with gnomes, her disastrous attempt sourdough, RIP, starter, and weird joy of rediscovering ABBA in sweatpants. Pages filled with ink-smudged confessions and grocery lists that morphed into haikus. Notebook's spine softened, creasing like well-loved jeans. By week 6, woman didn't just journal, she craved it. That leather-bound thing became her co-conspirator, holding space for reinvention. One entry even sparked her to audition for a community theater play, Hello, Dolly. She landed a chorus role, proving you could teach an oldish dog new jazz hands. Toronto's autumn leaves blazed outside her window as Linda realized emptiness hadn't vanished. It just made room for surprises. And that notebook. Now it smelled of ink, chamomile, and a life getting deliciously unruly. Linda's 50th birthday gift, a leather notebook, sat untouched for weeks, gathering dust beside half-empty coffee mugs. She'd glare at while scrolling through photos of her daughter's dorm room, thumbs hovering over heart reacts. Toronto's autumn chill seeped through windows, but not half as much as that hollow ache in her chest. Pathetic, she'd mutter, tossing another takeout container. Since when did she become someone who counted microwave meals as life wins? One rainy Tuesday, she grabbed notebook just to shove it in a drawer, but her fingers lingered on its pebbled surface. Fine. She'd scribble one line. Today sucked. 3 days later she added, bought basil. It died. Dry humor, her old armor. By week's end, pages held grocery lists alongside grudging confessions, miss yelling about wet towels. Then her community center flyer caught her eye, virtual journaling circle, no talent required. Linda snorted. Perfect. She logged on, expecting cringe vibes, but found women her age unpacking loneliness like it was last season's sweaters. One wrote haikus about menopause, another chronicled her feud with a squirrel stealing begonias. Linda's grip on her pen eased. She began stealing moments, park benches, laundromats, to jot down stray thoughts. Not profound, just true. Remembered how Mark used to burn pancakes. Laughed. Leather cover grew supple with use, a quiet rebellion against inertia. Some entries were raw, why does silence feel so loud, others silly, tried TikTok. Regret is real. But each word chipped weight she'd carried since Nest emptied. By winter, Linda's journal had coffee rings and dog-eared corners. She didn't notice when ache dulled, only that she'd started buying fresh basil again. Linda's 50th birthday gift, a leather notebook, sat untouched for weeks, gathering dust beside half-empty coffee mugs. She'd glance at, fingers twitching but guilt gnawed. What could she possibly write? Grocery lists. Ramblings about silence in a house once bursting with soccer cleats and slammed doors. Then came virtual journaling circle, newbies welcome. Hosted by a downtown Toronto community center, it promised connection without pressure. She scoffed. Online strangers gushing about feelings. Not her vibe. Yet, midnight found her hunched over that notebook, scribbling one raw sentence, I miss noise. Week 1, she logged in late, camera off. Voices floated through her laptop, women laughing, sniffling, unafraid. Linda's pen hovered. Then, gutsy move, she unmuted. Hi. She here. 50, terrified, and holding a fancy notebook like it's gonna bite me. A beat of silence. Then cheers erupted. You got this, girl. Someone hollered. She wrote daily after that. Not poetry, just truth, how freezer meals tasted like loneliness, how her son's old room smelled of abandoned dreams. One entry went rogue, a doodle of her younger self, roller skating past judgment. She snapped a pic, shared it with group. Artiste alert. Teased Margot, creator cackled. Who knew liberation wore bifocals? Then, twist, her journal snippet about baking and burning muffins for no one got reposted by Center's social media. Overnight, comments flooded in. Same, queen. Your words heal. Creator gaped her phone. Her messy musings mattered. Final meeting, she arrived early, camera blazing. Notebook front and center, cracked spine proof of life lived anew. Margot whistled. Look who's owning her story. Linda grinned. This leather-bound thing wasn't just pages, it was her compass, her mic drop. As screens filled with applause, she scrawled 3 words in bold ink, this is start. Outside, Toronto's skyline glittered indifferent. But inside, fireworks. 50. Pft, prime time. Linda's 50th birthday gift, a leather notebook, sat untouched for months, gathering dust beside half-empty coffee mugs. Then one rainy Toronto afternoon, she cracked it open, scribbling messy truths about silent halls and missing laughter. Words spilled like overdue confessions, each page a bridge between loss and what came next. Soon, her journal morphed into something wilder, a virtual circle where women swapped stories instead of recipes. Linda's quirky habit. Doodling rogue squirrels in margins, declaring them spirit guides for midlife rebels. Strangers became allies, typing late into nights about reinvention, salsa classes, and that one community center yoga session where everyone toppled like dominoes. 6 months in, Linda guided a silver-haired widow through her first entry. Another woman posted shaky smartphone snaps of her garden, captioning, "Roots grow sideways too." Notebook's spine softened, edges frayed from cross-country love. Evenings once heavy with absence now buzzed with shared vibes, women stitching second acts from scraps of courage. By year's end, Linda's circle had bloomed into a movement. Not fixing emptiness but filling it with ink pixels and belly laughs over Zoom fails. That leather-bound gift. Now a living thing, past hand-to-hand meetups, its pages proof that stories outlast goodbye waves. Grab a pen, your next chapter's waiting.